It's right there. Just make it.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming back. We're back in session now. It is 11:09, and we'll start with G, ordinances, resolutions, and zoning. Item number 1, discussion action resolution number 10/25/26, authorizing the execution and delivery of a Colonias Infrastructure Project Fund loan or grant agreement between the New Mexico Finance Authority and the City of Truth and Consequences. Assistant City Manager Alvarez.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. This pertains to the application and award that we received from Colonias Infrastructure Fund. This is for our wastewater collection system preliminary engineering report. So this is the actual loan and grant agreement process at this time. Again, we received the award of $171,900 in grant. 19,100 of that is a loan portion and 19,100 is a cash match. Excuse me. Once the agreement is fully executed, then we would, it'll come back to you again. So it'll be like the 5th time you'll hear about this, but we'll come back again on a bar so we can actually budget that. And then we'll proceed with the formal services to go out for proposal for engineering services to proceed with this project.
Okay. Right.
And I do believe we're looking at potentially not having to deal with the loan, maybe paying that off through our bond funds that we have, as well as the match portion.
That's good.
That's good.
Well, the loan's only 1/4%, but still, it'd be nice not to have that hanging over our head.
Well, then we have more opportunity to borrow money later.
Yeah.
It would be a really low payment for 20 years on
Yeah, I know.
$20,000.
It wouldn't be worth the administration, would it? Okay, all right, thank you for that presentation. Do we have any questions, comments?
Sorry, of course, I'm gonna have a comment. I think that, we always need to reiterate, like, thank you, Tracy, for doing all this and saying that it's come before us before. People think that these things happen quickly and they really don't. And so they say, well, where's all this stuff happening? Well, here we are. How many months have we working on just this one thing to get the paperwork in order? And I guess people think we just wave a magic wand and the money's here and they're already doing construction. And there's so many steps involved that we should always use every opportunity we can to remind people that this is a long process.
This one in particular came to the commission in February, then again in April, then again in July,
Right.
and then you'll see it now, and then you'll see it at the next meeting for the bar. So
That's good though, but the importance of this thing, though, it gives us an end-to-end engineering report of our system, and it's gonna set us up for other grants
Right.
and money down the road. So,
the scope for this PER will require it be that the PER be done in a manner that is acceptable both through like our state NMFA, Water Trust Board, Colonias, as well as USDA. So that way we'll have the option to apply for various types of funds, and they are required in order to apply for the grant funds.
And going back to the timeline, so after we hire somebody to do this report, then that takes, it doesn't happen in 30 days, so.
No, it'll probably take a good 9 to 18 months, depending.
So
It'll give us a full system. It's going to be a whole hydraulic model. It'll be putting it on the GIS system, similar to our municipal water system. And they're going to be out there in the field. They're going to have to verify lines, and it'll be
important
a
data.
long process. And that's for the sewer lines. It's separate from the wastewater treatment plant. It's all the collection that takes it all to the plant.
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, sir.
A small comment as well. I see here over 41,000 of sewer are in poor or very poor condition. So because I heard that now we can do water and wastewater projects together. So is there a possibility, because Wilson already made plans for water systems that here in the bad areas, when we open up the streets, well, I calculated out here approximately it is per foot, $700 a foot, including engineering, including repaving and everything per foot comes down to. So would it be then, maybe here we should look into when we do a project, a water project, that we at the same time do also sewer replacement. So that here
Some of
certain
it's gonna
costs.
Depend on where those lines are, right?
Yeah, of
So our
course.
water system
I mean,
is
it's in
generally
case
street.
where the,
But I will tell you,
sewer.
funding does not overlap like that. If I apply for funds for a wastewater system, it won't do a water line and it won't do the pavement. It will do a pavement cut for where that line is. But that's kind of the situation we ran into with McAdoo Street, right?
Yeah.
So we tried to formulate that around the MSD plan. We had a funding shortage on the MSD. McAdoo Street got taken out for the water line, so then the city ended up having to pay for that water line because we had already received the Colonias funding for the street repair. And so trying to collaborate multiple funds, if we use McAdoo Street as an example, is not the best idea. I think, trying to.
yeah, I
plan-
just wanna avoid here that we are paving a street brand new and then 2 years later, we already start cutting it into pieces. Well, oh yeah, water line, oh, gas line, oh, to at least try when we have now a timeline of projects that here we are pretty much when we are applying for grants, saying, hey, those projects are thing, but the sewer would need also that they would see that at a time we would save some money.
It's
indirectly.
definitely something we want to look at collaborating,
Absolutely.
but in having conversations with city manager too. So sometimes our water line or our sewer line are in horrible shape, but the street is in great shape. So maybe doing a pavement cut is the right thing to do and not worry about redoing an entire street,
Yeah.
putting those funds there when we have streets that are in much worse shape. And unfortunately, they just don't always line up.
I'm sure.
But
Usually
yeah,
they
in
don't.
the case, just that we have here maybe.
I think that makes sense, Commissioner Hefner, to do that where we can.
Exactly. I'm not talking for the entire
Right.
WISP 1, WISP 2 projects that we are doing it everywhere, so where it's really, hey, it's already open, let's invest
Because you have
the extra money.
Yeah, this report here will allow us to get funding down the road, probably 2 or 3 years down the road. And then by then, hopefully we'll have our money for our water, let's be one for sure, where we can start making those repairs. And and those things are in dire need of repair right away. So we're gonna jump into it, I would assume, so.
I thought the letter from the Finance Authority dated June 30, the packet was very helpful. I mean, it sets forth really the terms right there in a couple of paragraphs. We're talking about $191,000 funding, we're talking about 10% loan of $19,100, and the $171,900 is the grant amounts. And the loan component's 10 years with basically no interest. So I just, that made me feel good when I was reading this. They actually confirmed this, right, with the letter, so.
All right, any other comments?
No, sir.
Any comments?
Just, my thinking, right, is it's hard to take a time and say, let's do all those at this time, because when the city started having water problems, you guys did a tremendous amount of work to raise money to fix a water problem. And you didn't realize, like, again, all the conditions that come with putting that pot of money together. But I would say when we get to critical water, which is all what we call the steel streets, right? When we get to the feeder out there, depending on how fast this report comes together, we might be able to find some grant money that could be in the right time to do that. The likelihood, not very, but it's, that project's probably still a year away from being ready to bid. It's close, but so it could be possible. But the current water projects we have going, trying to put something else with those right now, unless we get there, right, and we find that the sewer line is in that bad repair, we might be spending some city money to fix things that we say, well, we're here, we better do that. I think that's more the realistic situation. I think we're going to see a lot of that as we manage these projects for the next 18 months. I think we're going to have lots of those opportunities. So anyway,
All right.
thank you.
If there are no further comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 10 as presented.
Okay, Norris?
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Eshler. Honorable Mary Jo Fall.
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mestrel. Aye.
So carries unanimously. Item G2, discussion action resolution number 13, 2526, budget adjustment request. Ms. Solgin?
Good morning, Mayor,
Commissioners, this is the correction from last week, that's the commission meeting bar where we had the error from the electric vehicle infrastructure grant project. The correct amount is $641,341. And in discovery of the discussion following, this is a 100% refundable project, so we're including in the bar the portion that will be coming out of the electric department. And then that way, that's all in place, and that once we get the final documents and signed the DOT, so. That's any questions?
Okay, any
I
questions?
don't have any questions.
Okay. All right, having no discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the bar as presented.
Okay, Doris?
Honorable Ralph Hessler.
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell. Aye. Honorable Mary Jo Paul. Aye. Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Carried. Item G3, discussion action, accept an application for a local economic development act agreement and approved resolution number 142526, authorizing the city of Truth or Consequences to enter into a project participation agreement with Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores. Andrew Whitehead.
Mayor, members of the commission, in your packet, you will see the work that we put together over the last certainly month. Again, Love's Travel Center, they've been working to get here for quite a while. They've made several presentations. We've been supportive of that project along the road. When we got down to the final real conversation about extending electric, the costs to do so were significantly higher than Love's had anticipated. And so they asked us if there were any incentives, rebates, anything at all we could do. So we went to worked in close concert with Jay to look at the legalities of what we have on the books. We do have a LIDA ordinance, which does allow us by state statute for us to make investment into enterprises, private businesses, based on their opportunity to improve the conditions in the community. So in this case, the LIDA language would have the language in our rebate program has language that says we could offer a 20% rebate to a large user for all their utilities, electric, water, wastewater, sewer, for 18 months, provided that they have 8 full-time jobs or up to 400 hours of annual work. So we use that language to also add to the LIDA agreement or the request that they've made to say, if they will agree to at least have 8 full-time jobs, meet those requirements, we would propose to offer them a benefit through LIDA, the local economic development, and then the same conditions would exist to then grant them the 18 months rebate on the utilities. And so what we've proposed, the electric cost, and I apologize, the presentation that you received on one of the quotes for the utilities did not quite come through on the presentation. So I think I handed everybody one of those. We have an estimate. It's in the packet. It just didn't copy well from there. So the overall costs to put the utilities from the west side of I-25, that's where our 3-phase power ends. We have the service there. That's where it terminates. To run the line from that to their site, we have an estimate of $240,000. That's the total package. We would, the quote that I've given you, we think it's going to be right at 150 to run one phase of the line, which we would want the electric department would like to contract that out. Again, that's working live. It's significant work. It's in a rough area. It's a lot of poles. So we would contract out a line that runs from our termination point due west to a termination point, and that's going to cost about 150. Then our local crews would pick up from that point and run all the way to the transformer on their property, and that estimate was right at about $80,000. In the proposal for our portion of the work, we included an estimate for labor, and we included the transformer. Our utilities director has indicated that in the past, we have provided the transformer at no cost to businesses. Again, they can't have utilities without the transformer. I equated it to buying a cell phone, getting a cell phone for free, and then we're delivering. So we think, again, Love's will be a large user of our electric, and they'll be contributing significantly to the system. So our proposal, using the LEDA grant, would be that we would give them a $13,000 credit for the labor and the equipment portion of our line installation. And we would provide them the $31,000 transformer. So that would give them about a $45,000 immediate credit for installing. And so they would pay us just under $200,000 for the installation of their portion of the line. Okay, so that's a number they seem to be comfortable with. But it still would cost them $200,000 to do that. So that's the LEDA portion that we're asking for permission to do. Grant them those two things, the LEDA would allow that. The second part would then be to use the ordinance that we have 2-245, which would allow us to provide them a 18-month credit on their utility bills. I did some analysis. They sent me utility bills from both their Sutherland Park operation and their Berlin operation. They run somewhere between $7,000 and $11,000 a month in utilities at both of those places. Our utility bills at a couple of our large producers here are consistent within those numbers. So again, they would end up with approximately $2,000 a month credit. Our proposal here would be that they would actually receive a credit on their bill. So we're not going to try to track it. We're not going to set aside a reserve. The act requires that if they leave within 36 months, they have to repay us. So our agreement would require that we would be made whole for that 20% rebate if they leave. Again, you never know what's going to happen, but this is a large corporation with multiple sites across the United States, and them leaving in 36 months with the amount they're investing doesn't seem reasonable. And then the two final actions, we have impact fees that we charge for every developer, every homeowner that comes in. They pay us an impact fee for every water apparatus that they put inside their home. It's $150 per unit. The Love's has agreed to put a $100,000 water line for us. So our Whiskey One project has a water line extension from the tanks. It's going to move all the way through town, but it starts there. Love's is going to put that line in for us. They have already started working, so that's included in their road development. So they're going to improve the road, and then so that they're not putting in a water and sewer line, they're going to do those items. So that's a $100,000 estimate from our engineers. And so we're proposing waiving the impact fees for them in lieu of the $100,000. Their impact fees would be somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000. We're getting a $100,000 line. It's consistent with that program, right? It can be used to expand capacity. So we would use the impact fee rebate there. And then finally, we would draft an agreement that would allow them to accept any tap fees that we would have off of the sewer line. They're running a sewer line all the way from their plant down to Coper Street. That's a completely undeveloped area. So they're paying for that as well. But then in the future, if the developer decided to put a subdivision in or do some additional work, and then new homes had to hook up to that sewer line, Love's would then get a credit back against the money they spent to put the sewer line in. And that's consistent within the regulation. We have rules that allow that. So the proposal before you today is to grant them those 4 considerations to effectively say that this is what we're willing to invest in them coming here in the opportunity for 8 jobs over 400 hours of work. And I would remind the commission, we did not and have not considered any of the gross receipt tax that this is going to bring into this particular issue. So there's a secondary benefit to us. The utility, our electric revenues will rise, plus our gross receipt tax. And so with that, I'll stand for any questions or any presentations you might have from our attorney.
Let me, and I appreciate that, Mr. Whitehead. Let me just maybe add a few things from a legal standpoint. So, as Mr. Whitehead points out, we already have an ordinance called the Local Economic Development Plan Ordinance. And what that ordinance does, and it is set forth in your packet, we adopted by reference the state statute, the Local Economic Development Act. So we've adopted that. Now, what does that mean? So really what was required was that Love's had to submit an application And the application has set forth really the benefits that we would be receiving so that we would consider what they're asking for. And then the application also then needs to set forth really what they're asking for, which I think Mr. Whitehead's already done a good job explaining that. So I think, Mr. Whitehead, I think really what we're talking about with the action we would be taking today is there's a letter in your file from Love dated September 5, 2025. It's very, very brief. And again, it talks about the 4 different things that they would be providing to us and what we'd be giving that exchange. So I think what we'd be doing today, we would be approving the application as set forth in the September 5 letter. Is that your understanding?
That's correct. We would be accepting the letter as the application.
And we would be approving the actual application, I think.
That's correct.
So we did. And then I think also then the second part is there's also a resolution in the file that actually references a project participation agreement. I think we'd be, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we'd be approving the resolution, which will allow us to go forward the project participation agreement. We have a draft in the file, but that may not necessarily be the final draft. So I think we'd be approving the application and the resolution.
That is correct.
Okay.
And the action of the resolution would particularly earmark the items that we've listed as the only items that would be available within what they've requested and how with the structure of the deal would be created with just the items that you approved today.
Correct. And in fact, the draft we have actually even goes so far that they even say that. So yes.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll go first.
Well, do we have any discussion first?
I wanted to, just say, now I think that the city in the past has used, the Lita before. I think they even used it for the brewery, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's certainly an excellent tool for cities to help with economic development. And so I think that's a good thing. And what Loves is willing to do to work with us is outstanding. And I think besides a benefit to Loves, we as a community and as the commissioners need to, the advantage is to us for the long term to have those utilities over on that side is only going to help us grow. And so I think those 2 things are a big benefit in having, and I said when she came before, my sons who tell me all the time what I need to be doing as a commissioner, they've been telling me for a long time to have a truck stop here that is big enough for even our local ranchers with a long gooseneck trailer. It's really hard for them to get into, get fuel, and having that ability, just that alone, I think will be a benefit to our community. But what the Loves can do to enhance our community financially and the jobs that they're going to bring is going to be a win-win situation for us. So I don't see anything detrimental in what they're approving this. So that's my opinion. Voila.
I agree.
Well, there you go.
Okay, any other discussion? I appreciate your discussion on the letter, because the letter outlines everything that you've asked for and that you've outlined, so that covers it. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion to accept the letter of application from Love's Travel Stop and approve resolution 142526 as presented.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Motion and a second. Doris?
Honorable Destiny Mitchell. Aye. Honorable Mary Jo Paul.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Houghton.
Aye.
Honorable Ross Ashler.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Move on to new business. Item H1, discussion action series 2025 general obligation bond. Welcome back, Mr. Valenzuela. You're right.
Mayor and Commissioners, it's Mr. Whitehead. It's good to see you. So I handed out a presentation. We'll go through this. I'll be very, very brief. On slide 2, I just wanted to kind of take you back to the general obligation bond question that voters approved in 2022. And the question was broken up actually into 2 questions. So requesting their permission to tax their property and pay for these bonds, $1 million for transportation, and then up to $2 million for water improvements. And both of those questions passed overwhelmingly. State constitution requires that a city ask permission from their voters before they can sell debt against property tax. But having approval from voters then allows the city to implement a program where they would impose a property tax every year in order to make the annual payments. And so that amount of property tax is not limited and frankly, in any way. If the tax needed to be 3 mills, it will be set at 3 mills. If for whatever reason something happens with property tax and much of that revenue falls off, and the tax needed to be 10 mills, it would be set at 10 mills. But I will say, and the state of New Mexico sets that rate every year, this time of year. The county commission, I think, is acting this week to actually formalize those rates. And so what I wanted to share with you on slide 3, if we can just scroll down, and as assertive as I was about the state's role here, they do have the statutory authority to set those rates. They do reach out to your city manager, and they also reach out to me and ask our view of what the rate should be. So on slide 3 is just the analysis that we prepared to support City Manager Whitehead in making this decision. And what you can see at the top there is what your new assessed value is, and I'll get more into this in the next slide. But it grew by about $2 million to roughly $125 million of assessed value. That's residential and commercial property. The current tax rate is 4.5 mils. And Santa Fe was coming in and proposing to increase it to roughly 3 mils, 5.26 mils. Mr. City Manager Whitehead had guided me through the process and just letting me know that the community would not support an increase. I also shared that view. And so we did this analysis, shared this with local government division in Santa Fe. We compared their analysis in terms of how much revenue would be generated from the tax rate they were proposing compared to what we believe the rate should be, which was 3.5 mils, which would be a full 1 mil reduction from the current rate. So, and DFA, local government division, did support the city manager's recommendation here, and they agreed to set it at 3.5 mils. Now, if I could take you back to that first conversation when this commission approved going forward with voters, at that time, we communicated that we believed the rate should be about 3 mils. And we're moving to that place. So I think we're going to get there in a year or two, depending on where this commission wants to go. So just wanted to share that with you. Property tax payers will enjoy a 1 mil decrease in their property tax. For a house that's about $100,000, that means they're going to save about $35 per year in that rate. So it's a little bit of a benefit to them. If we can move forward to slide 4, and we'll start talking about what we're going to be asking you to do in a few weeks, which is going to be to start the next bond process. What you're looking at here is just the history of property tax within the city. And you can see the difference between residential and non-residential, and then the city as a component of the larger county, and then the total valuations right there in the middle. And you'll see that there's been a good increase in growth. I think City Manager Whitehead and Ms. Alvarez, the work that they've been doing with you to have all this investment on the infrastructure is you're certainly seeing that starting to pay off within the community with growth in those assessed values. And back to the constitutional limits, your bonding capacity, gross capacity that you can ask voters for more support, right now is almost $5 million. When we went in 2022, it was about 4 million. So you can just see that just in that couple of years time frame, it's grown by more, almost $1 million. We've already sold the first 2 tranches, or the first 2 series of bonds. We do this every year. So currently you have 1.325 million of debt outstanding. So your net capacity. If this commission said that they wanted to go back to voters and continue to do this general obligation bond program, where you get a little funding to support larger projects, or larger project funding from either the federal or state government, you could ask voters for $3.5 million pretty efficiently. And again, and I'm going to show you some numbers here shortly. You could ask them for more support for another question without raising taxes. So it would still be at that same level. Let me prove that to you on slide 5. And this is the bond program sort of in full with the projected items that we're thinking about, well, not thinking about, that we'll plan to go through here in the next 2 years. So you've sold the first two of 790,000. I'm here before you today to let you know that, working with City Manager Whitehead, we would like to come back to the next commission meeting and start the process to sell these bonds, likely to the New Mexico Finance Authority. And we'd like to start that at the 24th September meeting. So that would be another 790,000. And then in 2026, whenever City Manager Whitehead lets me know, we would sell the final 630,000 for the full 3 million. That's also a good time for this commission to be talking about whether they wanted to go back to voters and seek additional support. And so on this table, what you see here is we're projecting forward with no growth. And you've seen that your assessed values have grown from year over year with no growth at 3.5 mils. And if you look at the far right column there with excess revenue, what I'm showing you is the amount of property tax revenue that's being collected compared to the current and future debt payments that we anticipate. That you're in the positive. There's one negative year there with roughly $7,000 negative. That's going to be covered by any of the unspent cash from prior years. So it looks like you have what this right-hand column says is you have capacity to afford the next 2 bonds. And frankly, if you want to go for an additional question to voters, you'll have the capacity to do that. So with that, I'll stop, answer any questions. Again, I don't want to lose focus on why I'm here, which is to let you know that we'll be back in a couple of weeks with the bond attorney to start the process for that final the third tranche of 790,000. So thank you, Mayor and Commissioners and Mr. Whitehead. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do we have any questions?
No.
I think we're good. Thank
We're
you for
good.
your presentation.
Thank you.
Mayor, again, we'll finish the presentation at the next meeting, what we would share, but we're working diligently to outline and have a complete roadmap of every project that we're earmarking general obligation bonds for in those categories: streets, water, and wastewater. So you hear us talk about we'll use general obligation, but we'll also present you a complete outline, and myself and the PIO, we're working right now to make sure that we get that so we can have it not only on the city's website, but on the county side as well. So the taxpayers, when they see their bills, they can go see exactly what those bonds are being used for. Okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. No, I'll entertain
Mr. Mitchell.
That's my turn, yeah. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Series 2025 general obligation bonds as presented.
I'll second.
Are we going that far? I thought all we're doing was approving according to the agenda, we're just approving Mr. Whitehead to work with Mr. Valenzuela. Are we?
Go to recommend.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
There's no action at this moment.
Yeah.
We need to bring forth all the documents and the ordinance.
Okay.
You got to bring it, then you approve it later.
Thank you for the information. Let's move on to item H2, this discussion action. This is the one we changed. I think we're going to change it to accept. Acceptance of electrical distribution tool system asset management plan as presented earlier. Yeah, Mr. Whitehead, do we have any further discussion on this?
Mayor, members of the commission, I think not. Again, the engineering firm has finished and concluded their work. They have presented us. Again, the document I had was in draft form. I think today they were prepared to give us their final report. So proper action would be to accept that report as you paid for, and then instruct us as to what action you want us to take next. And I think a public hearing, public meetings, presentation are in order for that as well.
Good. I like it.
Yeah, I like that too. I think, we'll wait for the final plan to be presented to us and then we should distribute it, make it available to the public. And perhaps we can have one meeting down the road to introduce that plan and then we'll do a final approval.
We absolutely could. But your acceptance of that today would make it a public document with all the work, right?
Yeah.
If we come out of draft form, then it would be available.
Makes sense. Okay, all right. I'll entertain a motion.
I wanted to ask Gary a question about the impact fees and all those costs, the things that we need to do. And I don't remember exactly about impact fees, but can we use those for electrical work or it's only water?
Mayor, members of the commission, the impact fees only at this point cover water and wastewater. And
Is
they
that
have
by
to be
our
used to.
choice or by law?
I haven't gone to look to see how the city put that impact fee ordinance in place, what the concept was. We'd have to go back in time. It's been on the books for a minute. I've not done that level of research. But I would think impact fees for total electrical or total utility system are probable and possible. So we could certainly explore that.
I just thought for future growth, if we could collect impact fees for, not Lux, but somebody that's tying in and we have to extend the line, wouldn't that be another way to recoup some of our expenses?
And Tracy's just whispering in my ear, but was saying it would require the impact fee study too. So we'd review what the opportunities are, and then it would require another impact fee. And remember, we canceled the impact fee study because it wasn't necessary for just water and wastewater, right? The commission had the ability to say, we'll continue. We think the fees are fair and reasonable. Our growth is consistent. We haven't seen a lot of growth, so we could do that under that. It would then require a study.
But just something to think about
Sure.
for the future.
I would say as it relates to the study that, again, looking forward to you accepting, it's a good report. It's a very detailed report. I think you're going to enjoy seeing it. It's clear. Sitting and hearing the presentation, it was easy for me to grasp the concepts. Just like he explained, he did a good job with me as well. And again, there's 4 pages of goals and ideas that they have for repairing the system from easy short term to mid, like I said in the presentation. So it's going to provide us a good roadmap for Bo and I to develop work processes and those kind of things. So I think we're excited about it. And then I think the GIS portion, Bo just shared with me, he's finally received the digitized copy and that's going to be significant for us to see all the mapping. So I think you will enjoy it. I think the public will enjoy seeing the level of work. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? All right. May I have a motion?
So hopefully I say this.
Or would you like me to-
The way you want it.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the electrical distribution total system asset management plan as presented by T&D Services earlier.
You want to go further about the fact that we're going to be reviewing the plan for final approval later time or?
Approving the presentation.
Yeah, I'm not,
I think we'll just, we'll accept it with the stipulation that we distribute the final report to the public and then have a future public meeting.
to consider approval of that. Okay, I like that.
Did you get
I got it. I got it home.
Okay.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell. Honorable Mary Jo Falls. Honorable Angela Popner. Honorable Ralph Ashford.
Move to item H3, discussion action, safety quarter implementation. Brenda England, Streets Department. Brendan, not Brenda.
Mayor, members of the commission, I'm really pleased and proud to bring, both Buster and Brendan down. Brendan's, we've been working together on this project for more than a month. He's got the presentation, and also I would allow both of them to just kind of go over their streets report as well. So I think you're going to enjoy this presentation today. Well done.
Thank you, Gary. Hello, Mayor. Hello, Commissioners. To dive in, we've been doing potholes and repairs on various different streets, Second Gold, Murray Street, Silver Street, primarily all the high traffic areas. We've been trying to get those done and kind of keep on top of them. We've also been trying to keep up with sweeping, but unfortunately, like Wyatt mentioned earlier, that our sweeper had broke down and we're currently waiting for parts for it. It's just some simple bearings and a roller, so it should be a quick fix, hopefully. We've been partnering,
Excuse me, is that the least one?
No.
So that's the one that we,
yes.
who?
We have been partnering with a rental company to secure a sweeper for a month, or depending on what we agree on. In the sense of, money wise, hopefully we'll get a vacuum sweeper to help, kind of suck up the finer dirt in the downtown area. Kind of our sweeper kind of leaves smudges and stuff, so hopefully that will improve that. We're anticipating the arrival of a new water truck. I mean, we've been going around in circles with this for 2 years, but they said that it will be here within a week or two. So kind of excited for that. We can get roads done a lot quicker and safely manner. Yeah, we've been also working on the we've also been working on the washouts and things on Turtleback Avenue, also complaints on different various streets for the rain that we had. We've been dedicating about 2 days a week now, so the last 2 weeks, fixing the roads. The Bureau turning on the dam kind of threw a wrench in our plan because we were just going to maintain that section right there and then come back to it, handle the things in the city first and then come back, but now they have to be rerouted completely around again. And then pretty much just been working on the safety corridor. Also getting one of our employees, he's got a CDL permit, he just recently acquired that. And we also hired on a new guy named Larry, and he's doing really well too. So with that, we can jump into the presentation for the safety corridor. So basically, the safety corridor implement is just making the community just a little bit safer. The purpose of the safety corridor reduces crashes and improves safety in critical infrastructure zones. We got the fire department, the hospital, the assisted living, the school zone. They're all stone throw from each other. So just if we can implement something to make it a little bit safer, because I always see people walking there. I always see tons of things. And it also is in line with our Vision Zero, our Safe Streets for All project. So hopefully in the near future, if they look at this, we could probably get a grant for it. And you guys also adopted it, that in the last go around. It is prioritized vulnerable road users. We'll get more into that with the pictures of above and whatnot. And then just basically improve driver behavior in known high risk areas. The starting point is going to be 9th and Date Street to Silver Street, and then up the hill to east on 9th to North Silver, and then all the way back to the end of Smith and Date. It's going to be approximately 1.6 miles. So as I was describing, you can see the beginning and the end of the safety corridor. I don't know if you guys can see it clearly on the computers, but all those red circles indicate intersections. We got, and it kind of cut off on this wide view, but right there by the fire department, we got an intersection that when these fire departments or fire department gets calls, they're thinking about what they're doing right now. And then, so if we can just implement, hey, be a little bit more cautious around here. Same with the hospital, we have 3 entries and exits, so people are matter of fact, people are going to be coming in there and they're not going to be thinking clearly, whether depending on what's going on, they got a hot call, there's things going to go on that you just need to be vigilant about. Yeah, the other intersection that is the most dangerous, I think, is right there off of Ash Street. When you pull up to it, you kind of have to it out there to see beyond the fence line. And there's also that tree and it kind of wise off. I think that one is also, a little dangerous. So we'll move forward with this one. The hospital zone, assisted living zone, and speed limit, school speed limit zone will be all 25 miles per hour throughout the majority of it. We're going to implement 15-mile-per-hour school zones when the school's active and there's kids around. But other than that, we're going to just keep it 25 throughout. The new signage plan, we're going to install speed limit signs, hospital zone ahead warnings, school zone ahead warning, safety corridor begins and end markers, signage compliant with MUTCD standards, high visible reflective materials for night safety used to inform and remind drivers about the increased risk from rules.
I have a question on that, Kevin. That's quick.
Yes.
Are you gonna have the flashing signs that are like on a timer that say 15 miles during the school day, or is it just gonna be a solid posted sign?
At the moment, it's just going to be a solid posted sign on the intersections of where the school zone is going to begin. And then we also have those radar feedback signs
Okay,
that we can add additional messages to as well.
thank you, sorry.
As I mentioned before, it aligns with the Safe Streets for All alignment and in the support or in the manner of calming measures, safety improvements, community health and accessibility, and data-driven safety improvements. Coordination with the local police department. We have the automated speed monitoring signs, evaluation through a crash data and speed studies, which the Safe Streets for All has done. Known for implementing, and New Mexico is known for implementing some of the earliest safety corridors with high visibility enforcement. The benefits of community engagement will be just basically building trust with the community, showing that we do care about these infrastructure zones, and that if they get implemented, people stop speeding, they can see a difference. And if we enforce the law a little bit more, be a little bit more stricter, we'll build community trust through that way. This is just a pretty cool little statistic with New Mexico implementing the safety corridor. They saw a 20 to 50% reduction in fatal crashes within a few years of enforcement. And granted, these populations are a lot higher in these certain areas, but I mean, it's better to have it and not need it, and so on and so forth. The signs are going to cost roughly $300 to $700 each. Signpost amounts going to be $100 to $300 each. Signage only is roughly going to be $7,000 to $8,000, and maintenance every 3 to 5 years, replace damaged signs and clean and inspect. The total length of this project is to take 1 week, depending on things such as shipping and availability. And I like, this is actual data pulled from the radar signs that we have over there. The left one is pulled from the curve going around on the west side of the elementary entrance. As you can see, there's 21,204 people that went there within a short amount, 3 months it looks like. And a majority of them were going 16 to 20 and 21 to 25. So, in all honesty, a lot of people have been driving responsible. You get your, occasional 41, 45 mile per hour drivers, but those are probably just kids testing it out, so, but yeah, I like the statistics here because it just shows that, everybody's kind of staying in a responsible range, especially if we implement, 25 mile per hour throughout the whole road, except during school hours. I think we'll be pretty good. Yeah, thank you. I stand for any questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
Of course, I have comments, but mostly because I live over there and I drive, both of that whole safety corridor several times a day sometimes. And, Chief, most people speed on that road. From the hospital, from Ninth to Dayton. I'm one of those speeders, I would say. 25 miles an hour, that's gonna be a big change, and I would say you probably need to watch that, because 35, 40, I'd say we all drive really fast. There's no stop signs, there's no, everybody goes fast, and please don't ticket me while I'm riding out myself, but I would say a lot of people speeds on there. They go fast coming down from the hospital through Silver, because you get on that hill and you just start speeding that way. About after you get to on the top of that hill, whatever side street that is, then I mean you can't hardly speed because the road turns so much. But reducing the speed and having posted limits is going to be a good thing. But I think that change for most people is going to be hard to remember. But there is a lot of traffic, of course we know during school hours, but during the middle of the day, there's just a lot of traffic on those streets because there's so much activity going on over there, and reducing the speed limit is going to be a good thing, but
The speed limit is currently just 25.
I thought it's 35.
No,
Okay, well then.
You're going over.
Myself that work. People drive 35 or 40 from 9th to, then they slow down for that little jog, but
There used to be a stop sign at the bottom of the hill, and then now there's not. You could just go right
right.
through.
And then coming down the hill, I said from 9th to Date, and from the top of the hill on Silver until they get to 3rd Street.
Yeah,
There's lots of people go fast, and not, I know for a while there were law enforcement that would, especially when people are going to and from school, we would have law enforcement there, but it's busy all the time. So I don't know how many signs you're gonna put, but you probably need to put more, because that's a very busy. Now, up, like I said, from after you pass the school and you're going by the hardware store, the road turns a lot, and so that affects how people drive. But I'd say those other two that surprises me that you said only 273. I wonder if that's me 270 times on that road. I thought, actually, I did think it was 35 all these years, and I've lived on that street for 30 years. So I've been speeding for a long time, but I would say I'm not the only one. So well, I'll write it down because it's the truth. I just think that getting people to slow down to 25, if you have more flashing lights, because they don't drive.
Well, you did bring up a good point. All the arrows that you see, the blue ones are already the posted speed limits. So those are 25, and the lighter color blue over there by the hospital exit on the east side. That one was actually 15 miles per hour. We're going to do that one to a 25. So people that are pulling out there, they can immediately see that, hey, the speed limit is going to be this and set. The red ones are going to be the new signs that are implemented, so on and so forth, with the orange one up there by the roundabouts and by Bedrocks.
And it was good to have those signs up before school started. Does it say 15 miles an hour during school? Or this just, I think it just
does
says
not
15.
currently, but that's one of the things that we're gonna do.
Right,
It'll
yeah,
have
so-
hours.
I think that will help, but especially, people are really good about school zones, but I'd say the rest of the time it's no holds barred. You should probably investigate other people other than myself.
Mayor, let me just remind so that it doesn't get lost that we're changing the speed. The speed limit through the zone is 25 and 15. What we generally have is we have some alignment issues. We have a 15-mile-an-hour sign that's really misplaced. It's between the hospital and the nursing home. That needs to be corrected. And then primarily what we would be doing in the safety zone would be just outlining that it is a safety corridor. And I would ask the chief to come up and comment on the law enforcement side. So again, we're not looking to add, but it could be enhanced enforcement, items like that, where again, if you are driving 35, instead of getting a warning, you might get a ticket. But I'd let the chief kind of talk about the enforcement side. But really all we're doing in the zone is clearly identifying the 25 and the 15, making the school zone signed properly, making it clear, and then enhancing the utilization of technology signs that the street department has implemented, which is the data. And potentially, we're working, we have one sign that the street department has. The police chief has talked about, we might buy a second one, and we're able to move those every 90 days. So this might be a street on the lower side where we put these to get the same level of data. Rich, I would say to the commission, if you looked at the data, I was encouraged to say of 21,000 drivers, only 4 drivers drove faster than 40 miles an hour, and nobody faster than that. But in that particular zone. So those signs seem to have, in my opinion, affected people's habit in those areas to at least drive responsibly. So we're not changing the speed limit in here. We're just putting some signs in different locations and enhancements, and then some things that would make people at least think on that. So, and Mayor, again, I would ask if Buster may have comments, or the police chief would like to comment on the zone itself.
Right.
Mayor, Commissioners, good afternoon. I'm in full support of this. So I did some research. The history behind the safety corridors, generally, they're done on the state side, on state highways, and they're based off of data that they compile, generally reflecting fatalities related to speed or whatever. And so you might see the safety corridors on the interstate, like on I-10, where you have to have your lights on, or whatever the case may be. And those generally are associated with double fines if you're pulled over in that. And so the challenge that we had here in doing some research is that there's nothing that eliminates a city from being proactive within their own community outside of a state highway. And so you can designate, each community has that ability to designate whatever they feel necessary to be that. But in order to get the double fines, it has to meet the state at the state level. And so unless we're going through a municipal court, at which point we have a little bit more leeway as to what our fines would be. And so in this instance here, thank you for informing me that people speed on there. Unfortunately, it's something that happens all throughout the city. I mean, we have small neighborhoods, Palo Verde, for example, that sees influx of speeders at certain times, maybe when they're coming home from lunch, maybe it's some of the high school students. And so the way we try to direct our patrols are based off of data. And luckily, the streets department was able to share their speed radar sign with us. And so we're collecting data currently on that as to when the majority of the traffic is going through there, at what times the speeds are happening, if there are speeders. And so if you look at this, the majority of people, they truly do want to comply. The majority of the population does comply with the speed. You have a few that are, out there, and that's just how it is. There's those people that make the choice to do that and go outside the scope of the rules, right? And so what this safety corridor is going to do from our perspective is I'm going to give a directive to my guys to have a zero tolerance in this zone. So that means if you're pulled over for speeding or anything silly, distracted driving, stuff like that, you're going to get a ticket. We're going to go to court. That's the only way to get any kind of accountability in this corridor. I know it's nice as community members, if we ever get pulled over, that you're able to communicate with that officer and talk them into giving you a warning or whatever. It helps us out, but and I think there's a place for that. But in this circumstance, trying to get this and buying on this, it's going to have to be the zero tolerance policy on our side. So with that, I'll stand for any questions you have.
Okay.
I don't know anything about
Gonna have to figure out a different route.
a long way around.
Okay. We have any further discussion?
I have a quick question about the signage. While we are seeing it's here with wayfinding, the signage, how far are we capable to do certain signs in-house? Is it just street signs or are
Yeah,
you?
that's all we
able-
can do in-house is just the street sign.
Okay.
Everything else we have to order out.
Or it's outsourced? Would it make sense to look into it here to have, I'm not just talking about specialized signs with lights and flashing and everything. So then there are regular speed limit signs and things like that here to do it in-house. Would it be more cost efficient, or we could do, let's say, changes quicker?
Not something I've looked into. The company we use is out of Albuquerque and they have all that set up that they make them right there. So I could look into it and see what the difference is.
Trying to figure ways out that we can do more in-house. Here that we can then on short say, hey, that is sets on that street, we need new speed limit signs or different.
Have you seen the
Like,
current signs that are up there on the road, on the school zone roads?
Yeah,
Yes. And then are you talking about something similar with that, like the all around, or just
Regular signs.
regular?
Stop signs.
stop signs, speed limit signs. So regular that we are just here capable to do some stop in-house.
And generally, we keep a decent amount of stock when we're able to, specialty signs, but stop signs, yield signs, speed limit signs, we keep in stock.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes. Mayor, members of the commission, Commissioner Hupper, I would say if it was a misunderstanding, the team is fully capable of replacing, standing up a pole, any sign. I mean,
Okay.
and if we were handed wayfinding signs that were gonna go down Austin or something, it would be a project, they would partner with us and we would work with them. So any kind of sign, we are fully capable, but I don't think we want to be capable of making signs or having some kind of a sign making machine. I think the way Buster has it set up to buy from a vendor, it works really well. It's efficient. They're not expensive. So, but certainly your vision should be that this team is fully capable of
Yeah,
doing
mostly
anything
it's as an installation as well.
short of on Date Street, right, which is the Department of Transportation. So if there's a sign on Date Street that's out, they would contact DOT and NMDOT and they would come and replace that sign. But other than that, they can do it. They can do everything.
Okay, perfect.
They're good.
May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the safety corridor implementation plan as presented.
Second.
Honorable Mayor Joe Paul,
Hi.
Honorable Ingo Hopner,
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell, sorry, Honorable Ross Hudson.
Aye.